I will put my bona fides up with and against and next to anyone regarding my support of the president. But with support comes tough love and comes the responsibility that is attendant to it. And that is to say that when it comes to political structuring, when it comes to political strategy, I don't really know who's good. We'll talk about this. We'll talk to an event I went to recently. How the Republican Party has no idea what's going on. How Zoran Mamdani is going to absolutely distress, fracture, and destroy the Democratic progressives. How AOC is going to be aged out because this is all happening right now at such a speed that unfortunately a lot of people in conventional prototypical talk radio and the like, they really don't get and they don't understand, and for reasons that I would like to maybe point out, I hope, to you today. Let me remind you, my friends, please, Saturday night, the loneliest night of the week, I'm going to be at the Cunning Room in New York City. Tickets are still available. There's a link right now. This could be, every time I go, there's something that's tragic. We are at a watershed right now. Listen to what I'm saying. We are at a watershed moment. This is a pivotal juncture in American politics. The biggest problem that I see is that people don't understand politics. Saturday night is going to be the greatest entertainment lecture series anybody has ever seen. Plus, you weighing in and joining in on the discussion vector and platform. Saturday night, my friend. Saturday night, Cutting Room, tickets available. Politics is how you win an election. Politics has nothing to do with policy, who's right or who's wrong, what's good for America. It's called winning an election. If you want to win the election, it has nothing to do with whether this is correct or not. I went to an event recently, and I always like this because Republicans love to sit around and tell each other how right they are, how sanctimonious they are, how American they are, how great they are. They love to do this. They love to wave flags. They love to say we're right. Here in New York City, everybody's talking about Zoran. Zoran Mamdani could be the greatest thing that's ever happened to our political side than you can imagine. There is a Soros-backed candidate who's going to be the anti-AOC. They're aging her out. The progressives, the rise of the progressives. If I ran the show, I would be promoting progressive candidates to destroy the Democratic Party. Okay? Because progressive candidates, this Mamdani, cannot run. They have a political shelf life that won't last. It's too radical. It can only be done in certain limited cities like New York, but it doesn't have a long shelf life. It doesn't allow itself to go further. I want you to do everything in your power right now to not react to what you believe. Doesn't matter. I was listening to Katie Halper and Aaron Mate talk about Zoran Mamdani, the progressive, and how there are people who absolutely love what he is saying regarding Palestine and Italy and Israel and Italy as well. John Podhoretz, who was the son of, one of the neocon, was it Robert Podhoretz? John Podhoretz. Anyway, Podhoretz, the son. There was this group of folks who started what amounted to William Kristol or Bill Kristol's father, Podhoretz's father. These were the antecedents of the neocons. Remember that? These were the neocons. Neocons are a name that for the longest time was always associated with pro-Israel, pro-Jewish, and I think incorrectly, but they were always labeled. Pat Buchanan didn't like neocons, and people said, of course, Pat Buchanan was anti-Semitic because he didn't believe in World War II and others as well. Because that word anti-Semitic, by the way, has lost all cachet. It doesn't mean anything anymore. It's like a vaccine that doesn't work. It's the virus has mutated and your vaccine doesn't work. Your methodology of going and attacking it doesn't make any sense anymore. That's where we are with that. So Podhoretz was talking about this, and he was saying that this Zoran Mamdani is almost like a Stalinist. He's Fetterman. Fetterman's really interesting. Fetterman is 100%. He is the anti-Democrat. He's saying for the first time, don't vote for Mamdani. The same way that people said in Louisiana, don't vote for David Duke. David Duke was this insurgent that threatened to split via incorrect association the Republican Party. When I tell people this, they look at me because they have no idea of what strategy is. They don't understand something. I went to an event, like I told you, and people just sit around and say, we're great, New York, and we're going to go on, and you tell your friends to go on and get that vote out, and the turnout's important. To think, I know that. That's not going to do it. Who are the wise men above and beyond and above, if you will, the groups of folks who represent the thinkers? Who is playing the chess? Who is doing this? Nobody. So let me just say something. The political fallout, the political posturing, the political strategies, the political theories, I don't think anybody's in charge. I don't think anybody gets it. Remember a long time ago I was telling you I would put all of my money on either helping I want to destroy the Democratic Party, and you destroy it by building up this section of it that cannot maintain nationwide acceptance. The Democratic Socialists, the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, are not in any way emblematic of anybody in the Democratic Party. But because of this freakish fluke, and remember, don't just react to it. Listen to what I'm saying. People will just sit back and say, he's crazy. And it's like, stop doing that. Stop doing that. Listen to what I'm saying. He's a communist. Stop with the name calling. You're missing the point. They do the same thing with Trump. He's whatever. And that's where we are today. That's that Fox News, and we just make fun of people, and we think that somehow our intracellular mocking, excuse me, is going to translate into something else. Okay, so put that over here. Okay, put that over here. Next topic. They don't know how to get out of the Epstein case. They keep stepping on their dick. Pardon my French, but that's exactly what's going on. Somebody's got to say, Mr. President, tell somebody, you need a new, whatever role Alan Dershowitz is playing, that role is done. He has been around too long. He's a vestige. He's a relic. He does not help things at this point. He's becoming, I think, maybe aware of how things have changed drastically. And he's using a bit of a shrill he has a shrill countenance, which may have worked before, but it's not working right now. I tell people this, and they're not listening to me. What Mamdani and others are saying regarding two things. October 7th, which is one thing. But not October the 7th the way you think. October the 7th they think regarding Gaza. the put it this way, the pro-Palestinian, if you got to give them a name, I guess pro-Palestinian. These are Democrats and Republicans, conservatives and liberals. These are people who view this as a human rights anti-war effort. And you have not been able to even appreciate that. And there is this one fellow who was a Max Blumenthal pigeonholed or buttonholed, this Senator Fine, I believe. And he's basically writing this very, very belligerent, ostentatiously pro, like Palestine equals Hamas. You better redefine this. You have, I think time's up to redefine the message, because you're not listening to what's going on here. At the end of the Vietnam War, when people realized it's a losing battle, it's over with. It is a losing battle. What many people forgot to notice, what many people forgot to see, was that you have to change your, I guess you'd have to say you have to change your tack. What brought us into the war, domino effect, communism through Indochina, Southeast Asia, it doesn't work anymore. And they could never say, we need a new excuse. How do we justify this? How do we kill the slaughter of Americans? How do we do this? They couldn't do it. They kept saying, well, all we know is we have John Wayne and America love it or leave it. And that, it didn't make any sense. It did not make any sense. So right now there is a movement. All you have to do is pay attention to what's going on. There are people, there is a mobilization. There are people. When Dave Smith, a comedian, becomes the voice of the pro-Palestinian group, along with people who have been resurrected, Norman Finkelstein, I thought Dershowitz just buried this guy. He's back. Mehdi Hassan. Did you see Mehdi Hassan just destroy Dershowitz in this? I don't know if it was. He's part of Zateo. Remember, I'm looking at this. I'm not even saying who's right or wrong. I'm telling you, the narrative has changed. And if you keep pushing, why are you sending Dershowitz out? That's the last person. You need somebody to come out who is younger, who doesn't interrupt, and is not an argumentative lout. Remember one thing. When you go out and you were trying to, if your goal is pro Netanyahu, pro Israel, whatever you want to call that, the first thing you do is you cannot put out somebody who draws more fire, more resentment, more enmity. You need somebody who is calmer, who knows how to argue better, and who at first seems as though they're agreeing or is presenting a new argument. When you go out, what I would recommend is to go out and say things like, we have to solve this to stop the violence, the terrorism. When you say terrorism, you know what that means. That means Hamas. But the violence, the terrorism, the death, we have to restore order. What have you just said? You're saying I represent the new voice of either Israel or BB or whatever you want to call it. And my new voice is something which is basically compatible with yours. Thank you, Freddie Haddad. Thank you, my friend. Gifting 10 Lionel Nation memberships. Thank you, sir. I tell people this and they don't. I have a hard time with this. You've got to change something. You've got to go out. And if you have a one of these Dave Smith or whatever, Dave White or Smith or whatever these people are, you have to go out and you have to neutralize them. And the way you neutralize them is not come across like a prime asshole, for lack of a better word. And they just don't understand it. Because They want to hear their own particular point maintained. They don't want to persuade anybody. That's that. So I'm telling you right now. I'm telling my friends, and I'm telling as many folks who are paying attention. We have a very important race. You've got Zoran Mamdani, whose name is both misspelled and mispronounced every day of the week. You've got him. You've got Curtis Lewa, who is, in my book, he's aces. As a person, I love him. I really do. Curtis Lewa is so popular in circle. Put it this way. The people who love Curtis. It's not just, he has been a fixture of New York. He's been almost like this rebel, this rebellious citizen, in a good way, vigilante, crime fighter. He's perfect. Andrew Cuomo, who is so dead, so deficient, so moribund, politically, not just the way he looks or acts, but what he's done, what he stands for. Eric Adams, who is only being thrown out as the anti-Cuomo. Eric Adams is an inarticulate oaf who is... This is a guy who stood up in front of everybody and said, we're a sanctuary city, and he welcomed people to the Roosevelt Hotel. And now he's changed his mind. It's just, no. That may be a tough one, because New York City is going to vote and going to elect this Mamdani, unless something so incredible happens that there is a movement. If I ran, for example, these Republican clubs, I would make the story over people doing one of two things. Recognizing the fact that, and I'm not a Republican, but I would have record what am I trying to say? I would have record affiliations, sign-ups, registration for the Republican Party in New York. And I would tell people, my message would be simple. Being a mayor is not about politics. You're an administrator. This is the message. It's very, very simple. You're an administrator. An administrator is somebody who, in this particular case, is responsible for things like garbage pickup, police, fire, sanitation, crowd control, parks, things that do not lend itself to political ideology. You're an administrator. You're in charge of the biggest city, 5 boroughs, 8.5 million Americans. Brooklyn alone would be like the 6th, maybe, largest city in the nation. This is just one borough. And I would tell people, keep your political ideology. Keep your progressive, fine, about abortion. And the mayor doesn't do that. The mayor doesn't do the death penalty. The mayor doesn't arrest Bibi Netanyahu. The mayor makes sure that pothole that you keep forgetting about, that's going to tear up your alignment, who picks up trash. Education is something that I would feel like just throwing in the towel, but I can't. But I would have to say something. Our good friend Ryan says, can the DOJ really just release all the Epstein information without risking legal jeopardy, as there may be some people named who haven't had a chance to defend themselves in a court? The answer is no. Now, part of what is going on, and this is one thing, Dershowitz doesn't do anything to clarify this. They keep sending him out to explain this. He doesn't do anything. He's not explaining it. Alan Dershowitz wants to be Alan Dershowitz. Alan Dershowitz thinks that that alone is going to suffice. I would sit there and take it from the beginning that we started off with the wrong terms. What you want, ladies and gentlemen, is the truth to be released. You want the truth. Whether it's called a file, a document, a list, a black book, a log, you want the truth. And what they really want to talk about, which what they really should talk about, but they can't, is what foreign countries and what domestic intel organizations were responsible for setting up what appears to be a blackmail extortion ring from over 25 years ago. Today, that's over with. You're not going to see this anymore. You are not going to see another Epstein honeypot. I mean, you might see it at lower levels. Women are, there was a service years ago where these supposed hot, quote, hot women will go into bars. And the person who's marrying somebody would say, "This is my fiance. Can you seduce him? He goes to this, or maybe whatever." I don't know how they would arrange it necessarily. What do you think about that? And these women would go and maybe, I don't know if they'd be wired for sound or a microphone. You have some very serious problems with interception of communications, kind of an eavesdropping statute. All of these things. In any event. So the issue then becomes very, very important. The issue becomes very critically, what is the, how do I say this? The issue becomes, what is the real thing you're trying to accomplish? If a woman goes in and tries to lure somebody away, is this somehow legitimate? Is this okay? I think it's so underhanded and dastardly. Theoretically, somebody would say, well, listen, a husband or a wife who pledges fealty should be able to take this pressure test. What do you think about that? Does that at all bother you? Do you think there's something underhanded with this? Do you think there's something weird, strange, or otherwise odd about it? I don't know. I'm not really sure. There's something I don't like about it. But anyway, you see that every now and then. Sometimes there's somebody who might want to, you have private detectives who follow people around. That's, I think, a little bit more reputable by virtue of the fact that they're just following you around. But in any event, you get into this very, very difficult question. So we're not going to be seeing true, actual trafficking and the like. I will tell you that Joe Rogan was speaking about Ghislaine Maxwell. And everybody is saying, how can Ghislaine Maxwell be held? How can she still be held for trafficking when she didn't traffic with anybody? And I would tell Joe Rogan, did you read what she was convicted of? There was one statute that might have a conspiracy to traffic as to Epstein. See, this is another thing I don't understand. Why do people feel like they can just weigh into legal matters and not even care to say, well, let me find out what? A little background. The other day I heard the lawyer for Daniel Penny. Remember Daniel Penny? Daniel Penny was the Marine who was prosecuted for the death of this thug, degenerate, drug addict, violent ex-Michael Jackson performer. Remember this one? on the train. And people were asking questions. Why didn't you let go? I asked this question. Now remember, if you're not in the courtroom, you don't know this. Why didn't Daniel Penny let go of this guy? What was his name? Daniel Penny. This guy's name was Jordan Neely. Jordan Neely. Obviously mentally ill. 30-year-old homeless man, mental illness, blah, blah, blah. Jordan Neely. So I and other people were asking the following question. It was very interesting. Why, I would say, why did Penny not let go of him? Why did Penny keep holding on to him? I thought that's going to be something very, very serious. And that's what I had thought, because I wasn't in the courtroom. I wasn't in the courtroom at the time, and I was asking the same question. I said, if anything's going to really hurt you, it's going to be that. That's going to be the problem. Well, it turns out he didn't hold on to him. He held him, but he wasn't, quote, choking him. Remember, I would have used emotion in limine against the idea of the choke reference. Choking, I would not call it choking. I would say is holding. Remember, this is a carotid restraint. This is a choke. This is a choke. Trachea, that's a choke. The sleeper, rear naked choke, they call it choke, is not a choke. You don't lose consciousness because of choking. You lose it because of oxygen to the brain. Okay, so that's number one. But let me ask you a question. What was the cause of death? And this is critical. What was the cause of death? Jordan Neely had to have been killed by Daniel Penny. What was the cause of death? Or what could you raise as the cause of death, which would have been reasonable doubt, that would have formed the basis of reasonable doubt, something that you could form an acquittal on? I thought, you thought, we all thought that it was because of the application of this particular type of move, either carotid restraint or whatever you want to call it. No. What do you think it was? Because remember, if he died of a heart attack, if he died of an aneurysm, if he died of diabetes or something, you can't charge Daniel Penny with manslaughter because he did not cause it. It's unfortunate that the application of whatever force he was alleged to have applied happened concomitantly to appear at the same time with whatever it is. So what do you think? What was he charged with? Drugs, hillbilly? Nope. Good guess, though. Anybody? What do you think he was charged with? Anybody check? I didn't know this. This really got me. Anybody? The defense pathologist said that he didn't die of a chokehold, but he died from the combined effects of a number of factors, not a chokehold. This is according to a forensic pathologist. Dr. Satish Chundru took the stand and said that there were two causes for this. One was that he died of the combined effects of sickle cell crisis, the schizophrenia, the struggle and restraint, and synthetic marijuana. Sickle cell crisis. He was in, I didn't even think people had sickle cell anymore. I'm not an expert. What do I know? He said there's something that happens. It's very interesting that when somebody who is mentally ill suffers from stress, that they can be put into a position where they are so violent, so they react so strongly to to these particular events, that they overdo it, that their body just is overwhelmed by this, and blood pressure rises and all kinds of concomitant forces. But the issue is simply this: if you can show to a jury that there might have been another reason for that death that had nothing to do with Daniel Penny, that is reasonable doubt. That is a doubt you can attach a reason to. So anyway, the reason why I bring it up is, unless you really know this, you can't comment. So Joe Rogan, bless his heart, was saying, how come Ghislaine Maxwell, the only person she should be released because she didn't know the traffickers? No, you don't. She wasn't charged with that. And also, I have to know what I'm trafficking, but not to whom. Let me say this again. In the context of, let's say, drug trafficking, I have to know that I'm conspiring to traffic in fentanyl or cocaine or heroin or whatever you want to call it. That's what I have to know that. But I don't know who is going to. I don't know who was the buyer, the purchaser. I don't know. Could be nobody. It's the sale that's the issue. The actual sale, the possession with the intent to distribute, the actual trafficking itself. That's the issue, not to whom I direct this. So it's ridiculous to say that Ghislaine Maxwell should be let out of prison because we don't know. If they say there's no list, how could she be a trafficker? Well, that's not what she was charged with. And the trafficking was vis-a-vis him. Now, you do have to ask yourself the question. It is weird that I am, for example, if I go and I grab a series of young women, underage or whatever, and by virtue of force, fraud, or coercion, I bring them back. This is sex trafficking. But if I bring them back to you, and you're the Epstein, you're the guy, you're the king, and I bring 1, 2, 3, maybe 1 or 2, or I don't know how many, or 100 or 150 women, I am trafficking. I am doing this. I am bringing these women to you. Force, fraud, or coercion. This is what it is. I don't have to bring it to a lot of people. I don't have to bring it to scores of men in the White House or at the island or no, it doesn't work that way. So even, and again, Joe Rogan does a very good job, but he's not saying it the right way. So the first thing, and I've been saying this forever, if you want to talk about the legal implications of something, understand the legal implications. What does it mean? What is she going to say? How does she get out? She's going to try again to claim that the immunity agreement signed by Acosta, the Southern District of Florida, somehow applies. They already ruled that. This res judicata, they already discussed it, so to speak. They have determined that it has been answered once and for all. They're not going to they are stopped from bringing this up again. Okay, so what else to be said? I don't know what she's going to claim. Now, is she going to do what? What do you think she's going to do? Spill the beans? On whom? They've had her for whatever, 2022, what was it, 10 years? No, 3 years, 4 years, 5, whatever it is. Good. What is she going to do? I don't know. What is she going to do? She's going to say, what? Bill Gates. I'm just saying this hypothetically. I'm not saying Bill Gates. I just picked a name out. What are you going to do? Now, my favorite is when people are saying that. Remember, if I'm Alan Dershowitz or I'm anybody, I can answer a question technically by saying, do you believe, this is important, do you believe that, how do I say this? Do you believe that there was a list? And you can say, no, there is no list. just like the mob and the mafia do not have a list of the people who are made and straightened out and that sort of thing. Okay? That's not what you really mean. But if I'm Dershowitz, I'm going to say a list. It's like when Bill Clinton said, did you have sexual activity, whatever, with that woman, Ms. Lewinsky? And they gave him a definition. Remember this? Remember that? When he was doing his definition, when he says, I didn't have sexual activity, they gave him, and I remember talking to, what was his name? It was the one, this was years ago on WABC. It was, I think it was the lawyer who was handling it. And he made a mistake of saying, now let me describe to you what sex is. Now, when most people talk about that, you include any and all forms of sex, I think. The way the question was written, the way it was explained, was that it basically involved intercourse. And because of that fact, he answered, no. No, I did not. Because that's what they limited the answer to. So going back to Dershowitz, or anybody else in the matter, was there a list? No. There was not a list. Are there files? Are there investigative reports? Well, of course. Do the FBI people have, are there reams of investigative grand jury testimony? Well, yes. But is there a list? No. No, there's no list. A list to me is a paper or PDF file or something that has a list of the people, either the victims and or the accusers or that. No, that doesn't exist. No. Those names are elsewhere, but maybe, maybe not. Or they may have been destroyed. Is there a list? No. Why? We threw it away. We destroyed it. There is no list. The question should be, was there ever a list that might have been destroyed? You know, you can phrase this stuff. It's like when people sometimes are charged with a crime and they have their records sealed. The question you should ask is not, have you been convicted of a crime? Because some people say, no, I haven't because my records are sealed. The question is, have you ever had your record sealed? That's the question. But nobody asks that. They ask it around it. So the question is simply this. Everybody's answering the question. Is there a list? No. No, there is not a list. Never was, or maybe it was there, it was destroyed. So he's right about that. Are there files? Oh, yeah, there's files. What would you like revealed? Raw data? Do you think it's right if a woman came and she says, look, this was 20 years ago. I've moved on, 25 years ago. I've got a family now. I'm in my 40s. I don't want to even be known for this. Remember years ago, there was a woman on the Upper East Side who was John Kennedy's, not mistress, but he apparently had his way with her. She was a young girl, an intern or something, very, very prim, a virginal, perhaps. She was at the White House, and he had his way with her in one of these momentary rabbit speed flash, like boom, that's it, done, finished, through. That's the Lothario, Mr. Big Shot, John Kennedy. In any event, she never said anything. She kept her mouth shut the whole time for years until somebody tracked her down because she said, this is behind me. I don't want to talk about this. I've got a life. I think she had grandchildren. I just don't want to. Do you think it's fair to bring these names up? Somebody said, look, I already settled. I filed an NDA. It's behind me. That's it. You want to do that? You want to list the names of all the kids in the McMartin preschool case? You think that'd be fair? I'm going to say, wait, don't do that. Nobody knows about it. Well, we got to release that list. Yeah, but you should check with me. You don't understand. Everybody's asking for the list. Pam Bondi says she's got the list. Don't you think we should check with the victims? Don't you think we should talk to the people who basically weren't charged with anything? Or whose name came up, but there was nothing to it? Let me tell you how this thing works. I had a client one time years ago who was involved in some type of sexual abuse or something. Anyway, it was unfounded. Dropped, what have you. Turns out it wasn't called the Sexual Abuse Registry, but it was tantamount to it. His name appeared as having been investigated. And it didn't even say conclusion, disposition. I said, we want to have that removed. He says, oh, no. That is not a rap sheet. His name stays on there indefinitely. I said, but nothing was found. He said, well, then fine. But it doesn't say that. It doesn't say nothing was found. It just says his name is on there. They said, well, he was investigated. I said, but you can't just leave a name there investigated and then wonder, well, why was he investigated? They had no idea that, well, we never said he did anything. Yeah, but his name is there. So do you want to just release names of people? People who had nothing to do with it? Maybe somebody misnamed, maybe somebody was vindictive, maybe somebody might have used the name in order to garner some type of position or whatever. No. So the point I'm saying is, Pam Bondi opened this can of worms. What do you mean? Lists, documents, files? I don't know. Now, next question. Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein was Mossad? That's my favorite. Was Jeffrey Epstein Mossad? Now listen to what I'm saying and watch people answer the question. Was he Mossad? Or Mossad, as someone said. I remember years ago someone said, we were at this local bar. Everybody was, they were gassed, half of them. And somebody suggested there was this guy who was this weird kind of import-export who thought I was Mossad. I said, he doesn't believe him. What does that even mean? I said, you're into this fantasy about this. Do you believe that he was Mossad? Ali says 100%, NCIA. Look at this. Sorry, Lionel. You are trying to cope pretty hard here. Not wasting my time listening to this nonsense. Well, let me take care of it for you. There we go. Now, you will not have to worry about this anymore. But thank you very much for joining in. I love somebody who comes in and says, this is crap. I'm not listening to this. Okay. Let me help you. Let me assist this. Let me face it so that you will never be able to grace these horrible portals again. Because this is important for you to know. Can you imagine me going to like Judge Napolitano and say, this is crap. I'm not going to listen to this. Well, then no. You see how people work. Anyway. Do you think he was? The answer is no. Understand this? This is crap. I'm not listening to this. Okay. All right. Oops. Hang on a minute. Let me see something here. We will accommodate this. No problem. And there you go. No sweat. Anybody else want to not? Anybody else? Anybody else? Just tell me. Let me know and I'll fix it. I will promise you you'll never have to listen to this again. Anybody, just let me know. Be more than happy to. Because I'm here to help you. And I don't want you to hear anything or be a part of anything that you don't particularly want to. Because God forbid, far be it from me to make anybody listen to something. Okay? Now. So the question is he Mossad? No. Nope. What's your question? Well, what do you mean? Is he a member of Mossad? No. Is he paid by Mossad? No. Is he an agent or a... No. Does Mossad maybe have a beneficiary? Could be. Could be. Is Sammy the Bull FBI? No. Was Sammy the Bull part of the Department of Justice? No. He flipped. He provided information. Is he FBI? No. Well, that's their way. That's the way you say it. And that's what people like Dershowitz are saying. You see what I'm saying? He's not a member of Mossad. He's not. So they can look at you straight in the eye and say, he's not CIA, he's not. If I set something up, remember Abscam? Remember that years ago? Remember when there were these FBI agents who planned to be or claimed to be, like one of them had like blue eyes. He was an Arab supposedly, and they saw right through it. Was he? Some of these people were involved. I think it was. Remember this guy Richard Kelly from Florida, this congressman. I think they got him. Was he? No, he wasn't. He was caught by them. Were some of the people involved in this thing? Well, they were FBI, but not really. So I know this sounds crazy, but was there a list? No. Was he Mossad? No. He's not a member of Mossad. He wasn't paid by Mossad. He's not an employee of Mossad. He's not. So you got to get these words right. You got to rephrase this. Just like I said, you ever have your record sealed? You got to ask, did Mossad set this up? Or was Mossad or its agents or just call it British intel? Because remember, the most important organizations and people are not members of names of groups you've heard of. Some of them are freelance, some of them work for, because we love all this spy talk, psyops and disinformation and OPSEC, and we love it. We just, oh my God. Cognitive dissonance and, all this stuff. It's very, very, it's just very, very simple. Since the beginning of time, people, as you know, people have been using this as a means of garnering information, whether it's blackmail, whether it's, what do you think sometimes having somebody a confidential informant, it's the same thing. There's nothing special about this. But the days of Epstein are over. You're not going to be seeing this. The new form of extortion, the new form is going to be either in direct digital information or manufactured. And by the way, remember something. You've got to tell your kids this, especially if they're the victims of there's a new thing called Nudify and different applications where people will take a picture of you and make pornography out of it. You've got to be able to say, that's not me. Whatever information you have, that was either parked on my cloud, parked on my machine, I don't know what this is. That's not me. Whoever these people are, that's not me. This picture is not. This is AI, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. Doesn't make any sense anymore. But here's the bottom line, which is the most important. The White House blew it. Epstein was buried until Bondi dug him up. Why? This is the thing which is the most important. You've got to be able to have Susie Wiles. I don't think Susie Wiles is as wily as people say she is. I don't think, remember she was part of that Ballard group that Pam Bondi worked for. I don't think these are the smartest people. I don't think they know anything about this. I really don't know if they say things. Have you ever received anything? Have you ever had somebody text you stuff where you're saying, why are you putting this in writing? Why? Have you ever had that before? Some people, they will text you things. There's one kind of one of these guys. He was one of these big conservative types. He's not really that important. But he basically sent, I think they're called dick pics, pardon my French, to somebody. Actually did this. Threw away millions of dollars in potential monies because he forgot where he was. I call it the picking your nose phenomenon. Let me explain. Have you ever been driving and look over and somebody's picking their nose? They are going for broke. They're like when you hit the bridge wave. They're doing like brain surgery. And you're wondering, do you not see me next to you? I'm in a car right next to you. Tinted windows or not. Do you not? Because they feel that within their cocoon, within their world, their inertial bubble, they can do whatever they want. People feel, I can do whatever I want. I don't need to worry about this. I don't need to worry about this because I live in a world separate and distinct from this. If I write you, only you are going to see this. If you're on Facebook, well, you're not my friend, or it's weird. It's this sense of they forget where they are. I don't understand it. There are sometimes people would have these exhibitionist fantasies, I don't know if that's even true, because there are no exhibitionists, because people today don't know what being an exhibitionist is, because they think everything and anything is okay in the open. Now, the president has to do a couple of things. First and foremost, number one, get rid of Bongino. He's no good. He's going to be trouble. He has shown me you dare to embarrass me, you're gone. Period. People love this. People love when Trump says, that's it, you're gone. Tells everybody else. Cash Patel is he's just a jadrol. Pam Bondi has not, he might be doing this just because he says, I'm determining who's in charge. There's no way that anybody, put it this way, there's no way that this will go to bed. Pam Bondi can't even do her job without somebody saying, oh, by the way, Pam, Madam Attorney General, about the Epstein thing. This will be going on forever. She can't run from it. She can't. And she's a good person. She's not bad or corrupt in the least. But it's boneheaded. It's boneheaded. How do you tell somebody, you want to work in my administration? Yeah. Can you go 6 months without saying a word? Will you have an automatic policy where you just decline all Fox News, not Fox News Sunday? And if you do a Fox News Sunday, you can talk about, what we're doing to stop fentanyl, opioids. Tom Homan, you can talk about the border, but you're not going to talk about specific cases. You understand that? Do you understand that? Are you able to do that? Some people say, because they no way. I've got to be on every week. And not only do I want to be on Fox every week, I'm going to show them that I'm in charge and I know stuff that other people don't. I want them to know and them to see that I know this. That I'm not just Pam Bondi from Tampa, the ex-Florida Attorney General. I am at the highest level. I have on my desk JFK, RFK, UFOs. By the way, see, there was a fire at Area 51. See, these are the things which are so critical to me. So critical, so important, that I don't know if my kind of politician even exists today. I don't know if they exist, because they have to be out there. They have to be always on TV. They always have to be part of feeding that Fox News addiction. Every night, as you know, I go into do overnights on WABC. And it's just, you can talk about anything you want. And to make a long story short, as I go on there, as I do my thing, as I recognize this, as I see it, the first thing I do is I turn off Fox News. And I put on the cooking channel, or this thing called Cheddar, or anything else. Anything. And I looked up, and there was Anthony Bourdain, no reservations. So I introduced my audience. I said, do you know the story about Anthony Bourdain? They said, no. I said, well, let me tell you the story. And all the questions are about his case. His case is so weird. He and so many others who claim to do this Me Too thing were all killed. And they say there's so much wrong with it. People were flabbergasted. People called up and said, I've never heard this before. I said, of course you've never heard this before, because you're watching Fox News. Fox News is never going to bring something up. They don't do this. No hits, no runs, no errors. They have to give you the impression that they're covering things. It's got to be cheap. For example, AOC, Joy Reid said something stupid. Joy Behar said something stupid. Another Joy listener, Greg Gutbucket said this. Now let me ask you something. Is that what you think is interesting? I don't. Is that your idea of scintillating? It's not mine. I want to get to the bottom of this. And very simply, I will tell you, you are never going to get to the bottom of Jeffrey Epstein. Period. End of discussion. For a variety of reasons. Number one, it could hurt the president. Not that he's involved in something. but just the whole idea of it. Number two, whoever writes the Democrats could, because they've had a cooling off period. And they've had a kind of a ceasefire, so they can basically sit back and enjoy, a period to come up with their own narrative. You're never going to find this out. You're never going to know who was who. It's over with. The cases have been settled. It's over. It's done. It's finished. Whether he was an agent for whoever, you're not going to find this out. Do you understand this? Do you understand what I'm saying? We have too many things going on here. And I'm going to say something to you. Who cares? It's too old. The Kennedy assassination. Forget it. It's just not going to be. The question is, why are we doing this in Ukraine? Pay attention to that. Why is it? Why? What happened to America first? And by the way, I might officially go on record by saying that in retrospect, despite his baggage, Matt Gaetz might have been better to handle Attorney General than Pam Bondi. I can't believe I'm saying that. But I think he has more of a killer instinct. I don't think she does. And the killer instinct is something that you don't have either. It's not something you want. It really isn't. It's not a good thing. I know it sounds like people love to think of themselves as having a killer instinct, but believe me, you don't want to have it. Because you've got to show a ruthlessness, which is not a very healthy thing to do. And it's not something that you want to have. And I don't know if he has or not. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But the people who really had it are Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Nixon. They had it. They were better than anybody. They would cut. I mean, they would not let you out. They would not let you go. They loved it. They were so vicious. It's a rare commodity. It's a dangerous commodity to have. But Pam Bondi doesn't have it. She's now doing, self-control, and she's worried. She's probably, and I'm saying I'm exaggerating, but probably more on the phone with her agent from WME or CAA or whatever. So what do we do now? Because I'm looking at the end of this. I want to be a star. I want to be a news star. I want to be maybe my own show, maybe my own. And Fox News, they've got the bucks. We'll see. I'm sorry to say this, but the evidence is there. There seems to be just a real focus and attraction to self-promotion and the like. Okay? I went to an event the other night, and it was a political event, and I swear to God, I saw more selfies. We're talking about the fate of our city, and they're doing selfies. Can you imagine if they were liberating death camps today? They probably would do selfies. I'm serious. I bet somebody could come and say, "Come here, can you get a picture?" Some poor guy, he's barely able to stand up, and somebody does the cam. Seriously, I'm not at all exaggerating. It's this mentality that we've got to get rid of. And I may be a relic. I may be from a period of time or a generation that just doesn't do this. In any event, Saturday night, Cutting Room. Tickets available right here. Follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. Lynn's Warriors on YouTube, and also Lynn's Warriors on X or whatever. Go to we did the live this morning about midnight, 12:30. I do these on the Lionel Legal channel. Go to Lionel Legal. Subscribe to that. Lionel Legal. It's the sister station of Lionel Nation. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you haven't been unsubscribed. And make sure you pay great and close attention. To our friends, Mr. Freddie Haddad Jr., thank you so much for your 10 memberships. And Ryan, thank you, my dear friend from across the pond, for your kindness and your benevolence and the like. All right? Good. All right, dear folks, have a great and a glorious day. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. Until we meet again, remember. And by the way, keep subscribing. It might be later on this evening. We'll see. I don't know. I'm going crazy here. And there's a story right here on Lionel Nation. Go back and sign up. Did you see that one? Have you seen that one? Have you seen what's already here? Have you paid attention to this? In fact, let me show you something right now. This was this morn. This was a good one. This is kind of good. This was I guess 12:30, maybe midnight. It's weird. I always think 12:30 to me is at night. I don't think of it as the next day, but anyway, that's me. What am I going to do? Let me see very, very quickly. Here we go. Here it is, my friends. Check this out. And also, don't forget Lionel Nation here. Dropped one before about what's going on. Remember something. I'm not here to be mean. I'm not here to support the president if he doesn't deserve it, though I do support him. I'm here to tell you the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts and the truth stings, and it stinks. All right, my friends, have a great and glorious day. Don't forget the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Dad.